Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Beautiful Muslimah Project. And I'm Catherine Jones, here to share with you some lovely tips about life that will inshallah help you see you as yourself as the beautiful person that you truly are. We've been talking this month about filters, and it really, when I talk about filters, it really is different perceptions, our different perceptions of things, and how each person has their own reality or their own different perceptions. So it's really about the fact that each and every one of us has a separate reality. We're actually all looking at the world through a separate set of eyes. There's not another person on this globe who is looking at what you're experiencing the way you're experiencing it, even if they're there with you side by side through the experience, because their experience is going to be colored by what they've experienced in their life and the way they think. And your experience is going to be colored by your thoughts and your perceptions. How is this something that is so powerful and amazing? I want to give you a little story about that. My perception of myself was most definitely driven a lot by my mother and growing up with my mom, and the way she thought about things and the way that she perceived me. And I spent a lot of my life, in fact most of my life, trying to seek her approval and getting her to be happy with me. Now, 22 odd years ago I became a Muslim, and I kind of turned things upside down in that department, and it's been very hard ever since then to please her with anything at all. And I suspect that part of that is the filter that she has about Muslims going on there. And if you go back to last week's recording, there's sort of a bit more detail about that. And what she perceives about Muslims and her ideas about how Muslims think and how they behave, she's kind of layered that upon me. And so for the last 40 plus years of my life, I've been trying to please her, and in the last 22 years been really struggling to achieve that, because probably, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us this in the Quran, she's not going to be pleased until I renounce this way of life and return to something that she relates to better. But unfortunately that's not going to happen, because this is my way of life and this is who I am, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Alhamdulillah. I feel very blessed, to have embraced Islam and become a Muslim. So it was a real problem for me, and I didn't even realize how deeply it was affecting me in my life and my confidence and my leadership and my parenting and my ability to build a business, and every element of my life was actually being really colored by this filter of feeling that I had to please my mom. Until an incident happened, and this is how insight happens, and this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us in our trials and tribulations, that these tough times we go through, the really difficult times we go through are part of our growth, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is answering our dua for us to be the better person that we want to be. And so many things needed to shift for me in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve, and Allah knew that I really needed to achieve these things, or wanted to achieve these things, and that if I still had these beliefs and all this stuff going on for me, that it wasn't going to happen. That if I had this thinking that wasn't helpful going on, that it wasn't going to happen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the most challenging experience with my mother, a really challenging experience. Nearly had our relationship broken. It was certainly very disconnected for a while, and it's still there's room for improvement, that's a way of putting it. But what happened was, at the kind of height of the tension in this situation, purely by the will of Allah, of course, my mom she had a kind of meltdown, which is unusual for my mom. If you knew my mom, this is not like her. And she said, "You think this and you believe that," and she actually painted the picture for me that's in her head of who I am. And in that moment, I saw the separate reality so clearly that a whole mountain of thinking that I had going on just fell away all by itself. I didn't have to do anything. It just went away. And what emerged from that was my true authentic self, because that was being held back by all this craziness that was going on in my head that was around thinking that I needed to please my mum, that I could please her, and that this was somehow integral to my existence, and that I wasn't okay if I didn't. What happened that day when I saw how vastly different her impression of me was to what my reality is, I realized it was impossible. I realized that there was no way on this earth I was ever going to please her and ever going to get her to see through my eyes, which is what I was trying to do. You know that feeling when you're just trying to get people to get it and understand where you're coming from? I realized there was no point anymore. And it was a massive relief. From there I felt fearless confidence and total resilience and just this total inner peace that I no longer had to carry that around with me anymore. All because I finally got to see the separate reality between my mother and I. So this is actually a fairly common thing that happens. We often have these kind of, how should I put it? Just stuck thinking, I suppose, that has developed through growing up with our parents, that has left us limiting ourselves in our life. And I'd love for you to reflect upon how there may be something like that going on for you with your parents. Maybe it's grandparents, maybe it's aunts and uncles, cousins, children, spouses. It can happen with anyone in our life where we've got so caught up in this that we're now no longer being our authentic self because we're trying to be who they want us to be. We've tried to be somebody else. It doesn't work. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us the way we are, and we're perfect just the way we are. Doesn't mean we are perfect, by the way. We can always do better. We can always improve. But we, in this moment, are perfect just the way we are because we are exactly how Allah willed us to be in this very moment. So it doesn't work for other people to change us. We can't change other people. But we can accept the separate realities, and we can be totally okay with separate realities. We don't need their reality and our reality to be the same in order to be okay. We are already okay. How powerful and amazing is that? Share your insights, your thoughts, your takeaways below. I love reading what it is that you've taken away from these sessions. I hope you found something interesting in that. Look forward to seeing you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.